Hello, everybody. I am Myles Sergé, and I'm with my co-host D-KNOX.
That's right, D-KNOX, aka Donnell Knox in the house.
And welcome to MS Live. What's
We
up, man?
welcome you. Man. I'm on Superman power right now because I'm tired.
Yeah,
I was up way too late last night and didn't sleep. But
you had a gig last night, right?
yep. In this town called Ocean. It's a few hours away from Warsaw. But I used to frequent that city back in the day. Played a lot of gigs up there. Nice town, nice people, nice vibes. Party's always on slam.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah. What's going on with you?
How was the gig?
Huh?
How was the gig? A lot of people?
No, it was like more intimate, but it was definitely packed. I would say, 70, 80 people in this place, but I like those small intimate crowds when they're really there for the music,
Oh,
versus just something enormous and no one really knows who you are. This was
oh,
great because everyone was a fan and they were really there for the music. But I have to say it was good. I had a fantastic time. I was surprised. I was
okay.
pleasantly surprised
That's good.
about it. So I'll definitely do it again if they'll have me.
That's good. No, I have been doing too much, man. Just kind of been chilling. Actually, Mo, one of our sponsors, Liquid
Okay.
Soap, Mo, my good friend, she is actually in Flint today. And I went, well, she was here this weekend. She's at a festival here, fine arts festival in Flint, and she
Okay.
comes. I think it's her second year here, so I came out and went to check her out and support her because she supports us,
Hmm.
and we kind of hung out. Actually, sold some soap. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so I was a salesman. I got like 1% of her company. Just
okay.
so I had to, check out my investments.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I did that, and then I'm back here, man, just chilling.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
yeah.
just in time for the show.
That's for sure, for sure.
6 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on.
Right?
On.
And yeah. So speaking of today's show, I'm very honored to have our upcoming guest here. I call him boss. I don't know if he knows this or not, because every time, he was technically my boss.
Boss dog.
Oh, boss. So he is here today. Probably one of the dopest artists I personally know.
Hmm. Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Stuff, man. So without further ado, let's bring him on.
What's up?
Everybody say welcome, Mr. Dan
Here
Curtin.
we go. What's going on, guys? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, man. Yeah. Well, Dan brother in the house.
Yeah, he's here. How's it
The
going?
man.
It's going good.
Just good?
Well, I'm just going. It's like a little bit of stress right now because I'm getting ready to come over stateside for a tour.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
I'm just like put all the last minute touches on the live set.
Oh,
Just
okay.
try and
Yeah.
get everything like as good as I can get it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it seems like it is. Like there's nothing else I can do at this point. Now I just need the crowd.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
that extra element that's always missing, because you can rehearse all you want in your
Right.
studio or whatever, but like you need the crowd. That's like half the set.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
And since
That's
like
true.
this live set that I do is like live, it's like 100% live. Just like
Mhm.
switching patterns, and there's no like real there's no arrangement. Like it's just completely live, so I can do whatever I want to do. And then as go with the crowd and feel how they are.
Yeah.
So sometimes like when I'm preparing, it seems like it's a little bit stressful, but it's in a way it's better, because when you're on stage, you have like this freedom to just to do what you want, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. Yep.
So like, because before in the past I've done some live shows where I had like arrangements already preset, and it was kind of boring in a way. It was like,
Okay.
yeah, because you're just like waiting for the next change to come and everything. So it's better just to do live.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So you're rocking it like that, like
Live.
Yes, exactly. Like 100%. So I'm just basically changing patterns. So everything has patterns that need to be changed, and that's all I'm doing the whole time.
Okay.
yeah, because they won't know really. You just push buttons, mute, whatever, and yeah, I totally get that. Then it's
I mean,
fun.
you can do that too. Also
Yeah.
on the mixer, also muting stuff.
Yeah,
And that's the mixer is like part of it.
yeah. Because you're right. Because it's in the moment. That's different than sitting home in the studio and putting everything together. When they're live, they're catching a different element of you. The only way it's going to be there is if they record it to be captured. But that's just in the moment, so that song won't sound the same. Definitely, and the energy would be different at that time too. So
exactly, yeah. So like the song will never be the same. Like even like from night to night, it couldn't be the same.
Right.
But
Yeah,
it's just
no
like
way.
spontaneous. It's like it's similar. It's very similar. Like
Right.
the same groups of patterns and everything, but same drum pattern.
The only way is unless you were really autistic, and then you would remember
Like,
exactly what you did from night to night.
Exactly.
That's cool, man. Just to be able to just to vibe off the energy from the crowd to see what and just go that route. Pretty dope. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do a live like a live PA like that. Like just feeling how the crowd's going and stuff. So that's pretty dope, man.
No, really, you think? Because I've seen a lot of live shows because you can't really tell exactly what they're doing. You don't because you can't really see exactly how they do it.
That's true.
Because everybody's got their own way. Either they're using like a MacBook with Ableton and maybe a few controllers, or maybe some gear. Some people only using Ableton, just a laptop, or people just using gear. But everyone has their own way. But you're right, you never know.
That's
you
true.
never know. Like some artists, like I played one time with Sergé, for example.
Mm-hmm.
He had Ableton.
Yeah,
but I couldn't figure out what he was doing. I was even like behind the stage. I was watching him do what he was doing. I'm like, I could not figure it out.
Yeah.
He has just his own way of doing things.
Yep. Good old Tony.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good friend of mine.
How long are you gonna be in the States? How long is this tour for?
For 1 month.
Oh man.
So I'll be there from like June 18th until about July 15th or July 14th.
Okay.
So just playing on the weekends, and then during the week I'm just staying at my parents' house.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, you just fly. Okay, kind of like I did last time I was home.
Yeah.
Back in September.
Based at the parents' house, so I can visit family as well, and do the gigs on the weekend.
Yep.
So what's some of these destinations you're going to when you get here?
So next weekend on Saturday, I'm playing at Public Records in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And then I come back for a week, and then the next weekend I'm playing at in Kent, Ohio. But doing a DJ set in Kent, Ohio, and then the following weekend I'm playing a Kaleidoscope in Toronto, and then the next weekend going down to Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good old hot Atlanta, boy.
I've been hearing a lot of good things about Atlanta. I didn't know they even had like a scene but I guess
I think they do. They do. It seems like they have like an underground scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Well, the people go down there and play. Even for the last 5 years, I know they had some stuff happening. I know Cynthia was going too, but she was doing the house thing. But a few people were going for techno.
Seems like the scene's a bit more house, but I could be wrong. Maybe there's also a techno scene down there.
I always thought it was like, I think the only time I ever been down there was like years ago, and then Kai was playing, and it was that song. It was like all house. That's why
exactly.
It was like techno scene in it, but apparently it is. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
Yep.
To show you how things start to spread out, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in places that you would never think that something was going on. But that would be my last place I would thought I would hear techno or techno.
I love Atlanta, man. You'll have fun there.
You have like Byron the Aquarius. He's from around there. He's not from Atlanta exactly, but I think
Alabama. He's from Alabama. I think. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, but I think like Kai and Byron, all these guys, like the sound is a little bit. It's like a bit of a mix. It's not strictly house, and because it has like this electronic kind of feel to it, a little bit futuristic feel to it.
Yeah, maybe some blues in there too.
Everything. everything. Yeah,
It's Mississippi blues, something.
everything. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
So I might just jump right into it, man, because it's like when I heard this, I'm like so damn excited, and it was like, this is nice work. So tell me about the new project, the Four Lights, because this is like, it's dope as hell. So if you guys listen, go check this project out. It's like classic you, but on a different level. And like right now, like just going through it, like my favorite joints off of the album is the Triple Exposure, and then What of Lazarus. That's some good stuff. It's really damn good. So
Thanks. Appreciate that.
yeah, if you could tell us a little bit, like maybe a creative process or like just the whole concept of the project, that would be dope.
I mean, yeah. So you made a good point. So like I was trying to put myself in the mindset of like where I was when I first started making music. So I tried to have like not give myself any boundaries or limitations and just do whatever I felt like doing. And so I want to use a lot of melodies. I wanted to use like some, interesting drum programming. And yeah, I want to just like free myself of any kind of boundary of what I should or shouldn't do. So I just did those tracks kind of like back to back, did them all over the course of maybe about a year or so, one after the next.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, except only one track. There's one track on there called Transformations, which is old, which I actually did in the early 90s, but I never released it.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew, it never seemed to fit on anything that I was doing. So I just kind of like, it was just sitting on it for a long time. And then now it felt like it was a good time to finally release it.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a great project, man. Like,
Thank you.
For real, no joke. Oh.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned Triple Exposure. I took the elements from that track from like a recording session that I did in the early 90s
Mm-hmm.
under a different name called Prototype. There was a record called Panic in Detroit, and there were some other tracks that I did around this release, but I never released them. But I just had like these kind of stems. So I sampled a bit from these stems that never got used, and that's how I made Triple Exposure.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Like I said, it's dope work, man.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I'm
Hope
a fan.
people like it.
There's gonna people that definitely some people's gonna love it for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so far the response has been pretty good. So
Yeah, you're making your art from the heart, so
yeah,
they're gonna feel it.
Yeah, speaking of art, man, that work is crazy spectacular too. So what was the concept behind that? Is that something you came up with, or you just kind of?
Yeah, that took a little bit. So the artist is DJ Food from Ninja Tune. You know DJ Food? He's been around for a long time. He was doing like stuff in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's doing he's a graphic artist. Okay. And yeah, so we worked together on it. So I just told him basically, like, I gave him some keywords of like how I was feeling when I was making the record.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came up with all that design.
Okay.
Mm.
So
Nice.
is there a meaning behind the four lights?
There is, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
There is a reason behind it. So, I mean, like, yeah, I've always been into it. Basically, it's based on an episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation, where like the Captain Picard is held captive, and the captive is trying to make him believe something that's right in front of his eyes that's not true. And that's kind of like the feeling of the whole album. Like, it seems like there's a lot of elements going on right now that try and make you want to see something that's actually not there, instead of seeing what really is there. And it's more about like seeing reality and seeing truth and beauty and seeing it for what it is. So that's kind of like the meaning behind the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. That's deep.
It's a little deep. It's a little personal. That's why it's always hard to explain the meaning behind records, because like it's really, really personal when you're doing the music.
Yeah.
And even like finding names for songs, it's like usually I have to end up finding a name after I already do the music.
Mm-hmm.
they have to find like a name that's like appropriate because like I don't think about words when I'm doing the tracks.
Right.
It's just more about like how I'm feeling at that moment.
Yeah.
And every now and again, there is like a concept in advance, but normally just like sit down and just like put the handboard and just like something comes out. It just comes out like that. Like I don't even do anything. Like I just sit down and then it's there.
Right.
That's most of the time what it is.
Yeah. That's crazy because like I think I'm like the complete opposite. Like I gotta have some type of concept for like an ideal in my head. Like I'm gonna do this, and then it comes that way. Like I don't write music well, it's been a while, but I got a project coming up I gotta work on, but I can't write. I just can't go and sit down and like I'm gonna write music today. It's just like I have to make it happen. Like, okay, cool. I got a deadline. I got this project I want to do. Here's my concept and go. Then I can go, but I can't do it the other way. I think.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm that way too. Sometimes there is like a clear thing what I want to do, like a clear, like defined concept I want to do, but usually not.
Okay. Yeah, having dates. I know what you mean, Myles. Like, okay, I need to have this thing done in 3 weeks or something. Sometimes I do that with DJing. Like if I know, okay, the gig's coming up in a month, I need to sort of start wrapping my head around this thing of, I can go any direction, but just having it there will make me, I ain't going to say practice, but you know what I mean? Rehearse a little in your room or your studio, whatever, just a few weeks before the gig, just to make sure you're ready and, you kind of know your tracks and stuff.
Yeah, that kind of forces you to get it done.
And see, in that aspect, I'm the complete opposite. So as far as like going to play somewhere or something, it's like last minute
stuff,
and nothing. And I just here's some stuff I want to play, and I just throw it all either in a bag or on a stick. And when I get there, it's just that's it.
Yeah, you just bang it.
I can't play
I'm the same way. Just get the records together, so I know basically I'm playing some of these records, and that's as much as it's prepared.
Yep. Yeah. I used to do that too, but I had to, I had some situations over here, and I said, okay, I think I better at least know what's in my playlist. I don't have to play them in a certain order, but let me just know what I got because some of the records were scratched and they didn't realize that, oops, skipping, for example, or, not as loud or some of the other ones, That's only that part, but not like practicing. Okay, I'm gonna play this track for track. I can't do that on a night.
But do you think anybody does that?
Do what?
Plans out their set like track.
Oh yeah. I was over here playing one time. This girl, she had Tractor open, and I know, and I saw she had the 4 decks open, but she had a whole. It looked like she made a pre-mixed like DJ set, and she had it like on like B track. And it was just playing, and then she was just trying to like use the remix decks or like have another track playing here and there. But I saw that it was because I saw it was like the whole file, almost like an hour or something. So she, that was just a mix in there. Some people do that. They just already had the mix that's already done.
But that's me. That's just
right. Yeah.
Like doing there for like 2 hours just standing here.
Yeah, she probably didn't think nobody was going to be aware of it. Because that night I was even I was on the USB sticks myself. So
right.
He probably don't know, but I knew exactly what she was doing. So it was funny. I said, okay, well, maybe I was like, I ain't gonna judge. Maybe something happened. Maybe she just can't her hearing or something. Who knows? But I couldn't do
their
that.
Own. That's how I say it.
I
couldn't do that.
That's true.
Yeah. But I do have a question for you, Dan, while we're on here. I did always wanted to know, how did you even come in contact with all them cats in Japan back in the day? Like Tatsuro and, even Kenichi and all them, because you were working with some of them back in the day, as I remember. And I don't know how did it all come about?
I mean, they contacted me. Because I released a couple of records, like I released like Third from the Sun, like you mentioned, and then I released another record on my own label on Metamorphic, and they I didn't have any idea that Sublime even existed. You know, they contacted me, but
Mhm.
Tatsuro, he was my friend because he lived in Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
So I was already friends with him. So he was
Oh,
like one of the guys who was in the house in techno. So we had already been hanging out and stuff like that.
oh,
And
okay. I
then
didn't realize he was already there.
he was already there. Yeah, he was already living in Cleveland. So
Okay.
and we were friends. You know, we're actually roommates.
Mm.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
and so when I started working with Sublime, and then he's Japanese and he spoke Japanese,
Oh,
and
okay.
then it was kind of hard for me to deal with Sublime because of language barrier. But then he was there, so then we started like getting involved. You know,
Oh, okay.
because he spoke Japanese, and then he was able to like help me out with the language, and then we started getting deeper and deeper into the business. So we started doing more stuff. Like we started our distribution company in Cleveland, and then we started
Yeah.
manufacturing everything for Sublime. So we started doing all their manufacturing and pressing in America, and then we were distributing it out of Cleveland to the whole world.
Yeah, I remember it because that's what I was going to ask. I didn't know. I remember the distribution, and I was kind of trying to. I don't know if he was with the, Japanese cats first or the distribution came later. But
Yeah,
as you said, you just told it.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So he didn't know anybody in Japan, didn't have any contacts at all, but we just
Oh,
met them.
okay.
We met them like that when they started asking me to do a record for them.
Hmm.
And then like Kenichi already knew the Japanese people. And yeah, that's how I met all those Japanese guys from
Okay.
Sublime.
So you were going there often, yeah, touring and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, and then they started asking me to come over there and play. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
so and then I had another friend in Cleveland who was Japanese also. He was like an exchange student,
Hmm.
and then he had a lot of friends in Tokyo as well. So it kind of helped like make this kind of network a little bit.
Okay.
And then they just started asking me to come do some gigs there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my first live set outside of America was in Tokyo
Okay.
Oh, nice.
because I had been doing live sets a lot because I came from like playing live before.
Hmm.
So for me, it was like normal to do techno live. So I had already been playing live in Cleveland a lot,
Yeah.
and then they asked me to come play live in Tokyo.
Yeah. What was it like back then? Those clubs there in Japan.
I mean, I was surprised. Like, it was just like any other club.
Mm.
That was
Okay.
the surprising thing that I thought back then. I was like, wow, this is like any other club. You know,
Okay.
people, but the thing is the people were really into the music. Like everybody who came out,
Yeah.
like they know all the artists. They had all the music.
Yep.
You know, they knew more about the music than I did.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
like when you've traveled to Europe and stuff, you probably met this like local DJ
Mhm.
who warms up for you, who like
Yeah.
has every single record that's ever been made.
Yep.
Knows every DJ, knows everything. He knows like more than we know. You know,
Yeah.
they were like super into it.
Did you find in Japan? Because I know when I played there, because Fumiya Tanaka brought me over like to
Mhm.
play, and what I noticed, I didn't really see people taking drugs or drinking. It just seemed
Oh,
like they were just high on the music.
yep,
You
exactly.
know.
Exactly. It was a whole different scene. They were just super into the
Yeah.
music.
Yep.
They were
Okay.
hardly even drinking. You know?
Oh,
Yeah. And it was really clean.
Mhm.
I didn't see any. I was like, who's keeping this place clean?
You
And
mean,
there's like all these
you mean like
people walking
the
around.
city in general, or
No, like just the whole city. Like not the club, but just in general, being in Osaka and Tokyo. That's one of the things I noticed, that it was just like Singapore, like just really clean.
that's like
You know?
the Japanese mentality. You know, it's
Yeah.
they think about their countrymen. You know, they think
Mhm.
they don't just think about themselves. They think about what actions I take, how that's going to reflect on other people. So everybody's like keeping it clean. Everyone's taking care of everything, and that's why it all works for them.
Mhm. Okay, so Tatsuro was in Cleveland. Somehow
Right.
I thought he came from Japan somehow over there
He is from
to help
Japan, but
you.
he was living in Cleveland for a while,
Yeah.
and then we did Purveyors of Fine Funk together. So the first like Purveyors of Fine Funk records, it was me, Tatsuro, and another guy called Mike Philly.
mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
And then because we
Man.
were all like we were really into the music, and I had the studio, And Tatsuro didn't have any equipment, but he like really knew the music, so we just started messing around in the studio, and then we came up with that with those first couple of records.
It's just funny how back then we just could just make a record. Well, I have to say, actually, thanks to you, I was able to birth Sonic Mind because you gave me Ron's number and then you gave me Archer's contact too. Because I think originally you invited me to be on your label, but then I remember you and I having a conversation and you said, I think you should actually start your own label. And I'll give you, the contacts where you can get the record mastered and distributed. Because I do remember that. He was like, okay, I'd like to have you on Metamorphic. But then when you said that, they gave me the idea and I came up with the name for Sonic Mind. And I did contact Ron and Archer and got the first record done and you distributed it. I remember you distributed the first one. I think it was 250 copies in the plastic sleeves, which I bought at Big Lots.
Is that what it was? It's like a paper sleeve inside, like a clear plastic thing.
Yeah,
plastic.
They had the
no paper.
Well, some of them had the paper he put later, but no, a couple of them were, but mostly it was just in plastic because I went to Big Lots one day and I saw these plastic sleeves. I think maybe I paid $10 and he gave me like 200 or something of them. So when I had him put the record in there. I didn't know it was going to look different and unique. I was just trying to save money at the time because, the more he was, jacket and this and that, the costs were just going up.
Right.
And after having it mastered at Ron's, I was like, okay, he already took my money from there. So that's why there was only 250 copies. And then Fanon and I went to Kinko's Copies and did the artwork there for that thing, like right there, for the first one. But, I have to say, because of you, that thing just took off, the first release. Right after the first one, people just, we like to book you. Oh, do you have more copies? I do remember Archer calling him saying, I need more copies.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, it's going to be 3 weeks. And he just hung up the phone on me. I was like, God, man.
I didn't know Dan did the distribution for that.
Yeah, he was, he did the first one.
But that was after you came to my record store, right? Because I remember you came to my record store, but you didn't
come by. I think because you'll have to go back, guys. Like I met Dan at the Smart Bar in Cleveland because Jay and I and the rest of the guys from Black Nation, we had a show down there, and then last minute Jay told me I'm gonna have to do my own show. So I had literally a few hours to put together my own live PA. So we all go down to Cleveland. We have our show. Jay plays first, and then I play after him. And luckily, Tony Jackson, aka Funk Master, and Brett Dancer decided to be the MC for me, and Tony Jackson worked the drums, and then we had Quincy Davis dancing on the stage. But I remember after I finished my set, Dan comes to the stage. I remember you came and you said, "Are you with these guys?" And I said, "Yeah, Jay is my cousin and we're all together." But right then and there, we exchanged numbers. So then that's how we began. We started talking. I started sending Dan music. We kept in touch. As I mentioned earlier, I had his Third from the Sun track on the record. And I was unaware that it was him for like a year, myself just being stupid. But it was like one of my favorite records, ever. And from that, you invited me to be on the label, but then I think about a week or two after that, you said, I think you should start your own label, and then I'll give you the contacts, where to get it mastered and produced at. And from that point, I think the first time I came down to the record store was to maybe bring the copies to you, but I had came to the record store a few times after that. Because I think I came with Fanon.
I think you did too. Yeah, I remember that.
Because it was like a 6-hour drive from Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we came down there to basically bring you the records to sell. That's how it started. That's the Sonic Mind was birthed. At that point, I don't even remember the year. I don't know if it was 94, 93, 95.
Probably 93, if I had to guess.
Somewhere around that time. Yeah. I
94, right?
think in 90. Even I'm confused. Like, is 94 or 90? I wish there was somewhere I could find out when it really came out.
Let's go on Discogs. They will know. Discogs always knows the release date.
Yeah, that's true. I should go on there and look. I only go on there when I need something, or need to put the link up.
People on there, they usually know more. They usually know more about our own records than we do.
Yeah, that's great.
Exactly when it came out, where it was pressed, who did the mastering, all this kind of stuff.
I'll be like, thanks, man.
We'll glass of water. I'll bring it back.
Cool.
Yeah, we got history, man. Like I said, thanks to him. Because otherwise, well, I'm sure Sonic Mind would still come in existence, but he just encouraged me to do your own thing, which in the end was a great thing.
Right.
Was able to people are aware. A lot of people are aware of even Kalamazoo, Michigan, really because of Jay and I. People didn't know Kalamazoo before, but they said because of your label, we realized, the city itself. It's a real town.
It's just you guys, right? That was the sound.
Yep. It was a unique.
Did you guys feel you were like your own thing, or did you feel you were like doing Detroit techno?
No, like that's the weird thing, man. Because I spent a lot of time in Chicago too, growing up, and Detroit as well. Like I used to spend a lot of summers, half my summers in Detroit and half in Chicago, and I was already listening to the Wizard and then all the guys like Julian Jumpin' Perez and Bad Boy Bill, like listening to mixes back then. But I never thought like when we were making music in Kalamazoo that I got my own thing. No, it's probably selfish. It was just for me, it was like I just want to make music. It feels good. And then later the end goal was just to get it out. I was just happy just to have it come out. But I never had to say, I sound like Derek or I sound like these guys or that. No, it was just
that's what I'm
making. I'm just Donnell. I'm making my stuff, and that's it. And I could care less if you're Derek Carter or who the hell you were,
right?
Because I wasn't even my mindset. I just wasn't even on that. It was just like I'm just making music.
Yeah,
but the good thing with that,
that's exactly that. That's exactly the mentality right there.
Because Mike Banks told me later. I didn't even know. He said, "Man, it was a period in time, maybe around 96, 97, or 98, somewhere around there." He said you guys had the world for techno. You didn't even know it. He said you had the world for techno, like the Kalamazoo sound. You had a lot of people were like on your stuff, and I was just totally unaware of that.
It is a unique sound. I gotta say.
Yeah, but he said that people was really, on your stuff, and for me, because I always give credit to my cousin because without Jay, I wouldn't have even be doing it now. Jay just he puts that flavor in everything.
Yeah, Jay just
stuff, but he did.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah. So, man, it's just as you said, selfish. You're just on like Gilligan's Island, making a bunch of songs, putting them on cassette tape. Sometimes on reel-to-reel tapes when you thought they were finished. When you actually needed to make the song, you put it on reel tape. And
did you actually do some reel-to-reels? Did you have some masters on reel-to-reel still?
Yeah. I I try to revamp some of that, even when I was just home now. But unfortunately, Mom put them in the garage, and the weather didn't treat them well. So the sound is just. Luckily, I had some of that stuff on DAT too.
You can get that. You can get that restored.
I tried with this dude. He tried to bake it. This dude in Kalamazoo actually
didn't work.
Yeah, no, because I went to Guitar Center to ask in Kalamazoo, and they gave me a contact to this guy that lived down on the north side, and I took him to him, and he actually tried, and he made me some copies of it, and when I listened to it, I just said, man, I just can't, it's just gone, So like I said, luckily, some of those recordings that were on reel, I put them on DAT too. So some of those came out. That's why you probably seen some of those releases, the DAT Rip series. Some of them were released on vinyl, and I just had like Tim Xavier remastered them, so I just re-released them. And some of them were only on DATs, and a few from the reels that actually were able to work. Stuff that never came out. So that's why I just called it the Dat Rip series. Dat Rip 1, Dat Rip 2. Because there were even tracks I had forgot about. Like I was doing so much music back then and recording. That stuff sitting there is probably never going to come out. Even I forgot. I mean, Myles and we done a lot of tracks together. When I used to come up to Grand Rapids and hang out with him, or bring my whole studio up there, we probably recorded 8 songs in a night or something. It's never come out, but it's just there, you know.
So you guys met from this, like knowing the same music together, or did you have like common friends, or how'd you guys meet?
We actually met through Kiko. Kiko's real name Marvin. Kiko's from Grand Rapids, and what was his label? Deep Fried.
Yeah, Deep Fried.
He had a label he actually made called Deep Fried. So in Grand Rapids, like he was like probably one of the first people I've met who was actually doing like was making later, but like DJing house and techno. And he threw one of I think the very first party in Grand Rapids. So some kind of way, I had a friend named Mike Arizola who linked me up with him. And we started hanging out, and I started going to Detroit with them. But
what, to buy records, or just like to go out? Just
to go out partying and stuff like that. Records too, it all came. But some kind of way they knew Donnell. They knew Donnell and Jay. Or at least Kiko did. So I actually met Donnell through Kiko. And we just kind of clicked and just started hanging out from then, you know what I mean? And
so he's from Grand Rapids. I always thought he was part of the Kalamazoo crew.
No.
I was associated with that.
Yeah, Kiko's from Grand Rapids, yep. So, and then we just started hanging up. I mean, Kalamazoo from Grand Rapids is like 45 minutes, so it's nothing, you know what I mean? So we were hanging out, and it was just like, hey, we was DJing and stuff like that, but he just put me aside one day, was like, yo, you should make your own music. I'm like, I just want to DJ, you know what I mean? So he's like, no, you should make your own music, because think about it. You're actually playing somebody else's music, and you could be playing your own. Somebody else be playing yours. You should learn how to make it. So he basically showed me how to do some stuff, and basically taught me how to make music. And he used to come over, like, damn, for a while, it was like every weekend.
Yeah, I remember that.
Bring all this stuff. We just set up in my mom's living room. She would get pissed off later, but she was like, what's all this shit in my living room? You know what I mean? So we just be there like all day, all day and up in the night, just doing music. So, and then we've been cool ever since.
That's the passion for music.
Yeah, that was back like 90, because I was still in high school, I think, or just got out. One or two. It was like either 93 or 94 when we first met.
You started earlier than me. I started making techno out of high school. I was already in college.
Okay.
But in high school, I was doing hip hop.
Oh yeah, like all of us.
I was very, very young. I started getting into that.
Scratching, making hip hop beats.
Yeah, even doing shows, even doing live shows, doing like dances at my school, DJing dances, things like that.
Yeah, it's amazing what music does, man, and it's still around. Just like I said, having that party last night where I DJ that was like, I just said, this is still going on. The same concept, the same way. I'm sitting here watching somebody else play. Somebody else is watching me, but the same energy, same vibe, people there for the music.
Exactly.
Which was great.
People are, everyone, it's just, it goes forever, it seems like.
Yeah.
To go over the world.
So since you kind of touched on this, how you started out, tell us how you started out. Like you said, you were doing hip hop. Like, how was the scene in Cleveland, right? How was the scene in Cleveland? Was anybody else doing anything but you, or what's the backstory?
I mean, it didn't. Yeah, kind of. I mean, I was into hip hop because of, like, the one thing that was lucky for me is that I don't know how this happened, but I was living in a suburb of Cleveland called Stowe, and for some reason I was able to get like New York City radio stations. Like they were like simulcast in Cleveland, and I could get them where I lived. So I was hearing like every weekend night I was hearing like every new hip hop that came out from like Pete Rock and from all these different DJs who were playing on the radio station in New York. And like DJ Premier, Pete Rock, and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, in some weird way, I was getting that all that music right there in like the suburb of Cleveland somehow. So that was like my basically introduction to music.
Okay.
So that's where I first heard Kraftwerk. It's because these DJs were playing Kraftwerk and everything, and this is where I first heard all this stuff. So that just was just like so I used to record them on cassette tape, these shows, and listen to them over and over again. And that's basically what got me into music, you know. So I started, and for some reason, I just started trying to make it. So I started trying to understand what they were doing, how they were making the music, and trying to figure out what like DJing was, trying to figure out what scratching was about. Because obviously there was not one single other person of my age group or my school who was doing that stuff.
Okay.
We just had to kind of like try to figure it out, and then I finally figured out, you know, what scratching was, and I figured out what a drum machine was, and then I started getting stuff, you know, and then I started putting together, like, you know, I had a drum machine and turntables, and I started trying to put together a couple of like tracks, and I met some rappers, and then we just started making tracks. Then we started doing a couple of shows in like different schools and talent shows here and there, and then it kind of grew a little bit. Then from that, I don't know how I heard house music the first time. I remember the first time I didn't like it because a friend of mine went to Chicago and they brought back some house music. I'm like, I don't like this stuff. It's too fast. I thought it was like disco. I wasn't really into it. But then I kind of started getting into it a little bit. But it wasn't just house. Then from like hip hop, I started doing a little bit like other kind of like electronic, like new wave and that kind of stuff. And then I was in a band for a while, doing kind of like punk kind of sounds. And then back to hip hop again, and then I think hip hop and then techno was just a natural kind of progression from that. Because to me, techno was like the perfect mix of like house, the perfect mix of like hip hop and new wave and, you know, electronic sounds and samples, and it kind of mixed it all together. Mm-hmm. So I just started like messing around with that.
Okay.
But it was hard because there was nothing going on, you know, and the suburbs of Cleveland, there was like really nothing going on. So I had to like go to the record stores and get magazines.
Oh yeah,
like Details and The Face,
an
ID magazine, because I could get these magazines, and that's how I learned. That's how I learned about the scene, kind of outside of northeastern Ohio.
Yeah,
you know? And then I started hearing about techno and acid house and things like that, and I didn't even know that it was coming from Detroit. It was coming from somewhere so close to me. I thought it was coming from the UK or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine went to the UK with his family for a vacation, and he started taping like pirate radio from London.
Okay.
And he brought back some recordings of like Colin Dale.
Oh,
when it was a pirate station. And he brought back these recordings. And I was like, oh my God, what is this music? And I was hearing like everything from Detroit, you know, all of this UK stuff. And that was kind of like how I really just got fully into it.
Wow. Did you happen to hear Below Your House Down on one of them mixes?
I heard that, yeah.
All that.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, for sure. You know, and then like, then the crazy thing is like, then I went to Detroit and I started meeting all these people who they were like kind of like legends to me because I knew their music.
Yeah.
Like seeing it in magazines and hearing about it from overseas. Then the first time I went to Record Time in Detroit, I met all these people and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
But everybody from Detroit at that time was really, really nice to me, you know, like they're really welcoming. And when I first started like making some tracks that I thought were like halfway decent, I sent them to a bunch of different labels in Detroit, and like a bunch of them called me back and offered me record contracts, including Carl Craig, Kelly Hand, and a bunch of other people. And I got 430 West, things like this. They all offered me a deal on their labels.
Okay.
And it was just crazy. You know, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle it. But I eventually, for some reason, I started working with Carl Craig at the beginning.
Okay.
It never came out. It was supposed to come out on a retroactive, but it never actually came out. But he's the first artist that signed me, and he invited me to Detroit. Took me to Greek Town, took me out for pizza, and then we had like our signing dinner and everything. And
signing dinner. Signing
he
dinner.
invited me to Detroit, and we had like
that's like pro.
Yeah.
It was just crazy going to Carl Craig's house. He was living with his mom at the time. His family still, and like I remember going up to his room when he was making like the early retroactive records, like Suspiria and all of these tracks. And I went up to his bedroom in his mom's house, and then he had like on the floor was like a 707 and like a 909, and like on the bed was like a 626, and he just had his stuff in his room, and that's where he made these records. Just no studio, just like in a room. And that's where he came up with those sounds. But unfortunately, the stuff never came out. Because like right around after he even brought me to Detroit, he put me in a studio, we recorded everything in like a professional studio there, and then like it never. Then he broke up. Retroactive broke up, and then he started. Then he started playing E after that.
Okay,
gotcha. So where are these tracks now? You got them, or
I'm just sitting on them? But now I mean they technically sound okay because they were recording in a really good studio, but I don't like them 100%. I don't think they're good enough to release. Carl did back then, but like now when I listen to them, I'm like, nah, not gonna release them. They're good, but they're not. They're good in idea and the concept is good, but the execution, I don't feel that is correct.
Yeah, I feel you.
Okay.
Leave some stuff in the vault.
Yeah. Got a question.
If I had the stems from those, I would.
Go.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Then I could like make it better, Then I could do it correctly. But I don't have the master tapes. I don't have anything. I just have the dats from those.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jay's asking a question. It's on the screen right there. Ask Dan if he
Was I Black Nation Distribution? No, Deep Distribution was my company.
Okay.
But I think we distributed Black Nation.
Did you do some, or was it Dan Bell?
I think we did too. I think both.
Maybe you did.
I'm sure we probably ordered some from Black Nation.
Oh yeah.
But I think probably Dan Bell with Seven City also did some.
Yeah, because I know after you, or actually when you did Record Time, like you took some, and then you took more, and then Record Time took some off of me. But then right after you guys, Dan Bell came along.
Yeah.
And then I think Jay and I both, he went with Black Nation, and I went with Sonic Mind with Dan Bell.
He said, "Yes, you did."
Yeah.
I mean, but also I was working together with Dan Bell a lot, so I was like,
so you was ordering from
stuff, and he was sending me stuff, and we were sending it overseas.
Yeah. Damn, that was. Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
1,500.
Yeah, those nice numbers.
Nice numbers back then.
Yeah.
Those were nice numbers then.
Yep.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, you could make money. I used to love. Yeah, I remember going down to Dan Bell after go down, give them the tracks, pick up a check, go to a pawn shop, buy some more keyboards, go to Record Time, get some records, and come back to Kalamazoo. That was good times back then. And sometimes stop by and visit Mike, like on my way. I would have to be prepared for Mike though, because if I would stop by Submerge and visit him, my idea would be to get back to Kalamazoo early enough so I could make a DJ mix with the records I bought, or like have some daytime fun. But if I got with him, sometimes I wouldn't leave there. It'd be like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So be prepared when you go visit Mike, because if he likes you, he'll be there for a while talking.
Yeah,
man. And he's just bring back some awesome memories, man. I did want to ask you, because I know before you got to Berlin, you were living in Switzerland.
Yeah, for a couple
somewhere.
Years.
Okay, and so I was going to ask, like, how did you end up meeting your wife? Because I don't want to bring up your ex, because I remember from the past, like that girl. I even forgot her name now, but. I was wondering how you ended up meeting your wife and the transition to Switzerland.
I met her at a gig because I was doing a tour of Switzerland, so I was playing all these different different places in Switzerland,
Mhm.
and I just happened to play in her hometown.
Okay.
And then she just came. She knew the promoter, so she
Mhm.
came to the gig, and we kind of just hit it off. And then we just like
Right.
started staying in touch. And and then we were like together for like a year. I was in Cleveland, she was in Switzerland, but I was coming over to DJ all the time in Europe, at least once every month. So we were like able to see each other,
Mhm.
we stay together. And then I finally moved over for a couple of years to Switzerland.
Okay. So comparison to Berlin, what was Switzerland like? I'm just like living there.
I mean,
You know,
it's a different vibe. Berlin's a big crazy city, and
yeah.
I was living in Switzerland in Bern, which is the capital. It's also a capital like Berlin,
Okay.
but a lot of her family's in like living in the small villages and everything. So it was like way more countryside, way more small town.
Yeah.
But they had a good scene. Every village, it seemed like every village had a party going on. So you could like do a tour of Switzerland.
Yeah.
Play in every little kind of village.
Yeah. No, it was Bern. I remember playing there at Zurich back in the day.
Mhm.
It was not in Diego. I can't pronounce his last name. He'll kill me if I Stutler, or he's even on my label. You probably know who I'm talking about. Yeah. He's with Archer now. I think he's from Bern too, right? Or
no, I'm not.
Diego is his first name?
Diego, yeah. Because he wasn't he on Kanzlerant?
Yeah.
I think he released on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the red one, the red album.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
So because I was wondering, like, if you ran into some of those cats. And then there was another guy that worked at the local record store down there. He was putting on things. I just can't remember his name now either. It's just so long ago.
I mean, yeah, I would have known all those people.
Yeah.
No, I would have, because like it was a really tight and good scene there.
Yeah. The thing for me, Switzerland, I remember just waking up one morning and then sitting on this dude's say patio, say balcony for the Europeans, and just looking. And I just said, man, this is like a perfect picture. When I saw these mountains, the water and the clouds, I said, it looked like God drew this. Painted this himself. I had never seen anything like that. And I think that was the first time I actually had rabbit meat in Switzerland. I didn't know. The dude told me later, oh, that was rabbit. And because it was like, I thought it was just some meat with like some potatoes and looked like some kind of tomato gravy sauce with a little bit of salad. So, I was like, okay, I'm hungry.
That's exactly right. They eat rabbit and they eat horse too.
Yep.
Yeah,
I was like, I said, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
So I get the picture. You were there a few years, and you guys get to Berlin.
Years, and we moved back to Cleveland together, and then we moved back over to Germany.
Yeah, and now you're here and still here, still in Berlin.
2003, we moved to Germany, and we've been in Berlin ever since.
Man, you moved there then, and I started coming to Poland around 2002, but not to live. I was just coming for gigs. And then around 2004 to 2005, I started staying over here more regularly to stand, and ended up moving later. And I'm still here. So it gets comfortable in Europe, I guess.
Yeah. Come over. You don't plan to stay as long as you did end up staying, but then you end up staying for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always good for our music. It's good because the scene is really big over here. So for techno music, it's good.
Yeah, from that point, it is. I'll have to say, because just like something like even last night, playing last night, I just said, yeah, this is not too far away, and it's just reminded me of a party back in the day.
Yep.
Good vibe, smaller crowd, but great. The whole thing was great. Now, if I was in Kalamazoo, I probably had to travel further, probably to New York or somewhere, or, San Francisco, somewhere far to maybe have that same vibe. Probably in Detroit too, in Chicago, people are making some underground things, but, Europe does have its benefits for that. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always been that way in Europe. You know, even the small villages have good scenes.
Mm-hmm.
When you're away from the big cities and everything.
Yeah. I do got a funny story before we ask you something else. This dude booked me one time, and he said, I'm going to come to Warsaw and pick you up in the car, and then we're going to drive to this, like you said, small village to play. And so we driving, right, I think about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we stop at this gas station, and he's like, he starts getting out, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go ahead and give me some Snickers or something, or some water, get some snacks for the road and for the gig. And all of a sudden, he starts taking his records, his record bag out the trunk and everything. I was like, what are you doing? He was like, oh, the party's here. I was like, what? Because, the gas station had like a restaurant thing attached to it, but the restaurant thing was also like a big hall. So they were having a party there, like this thing connected with the gas station. And like, I guess even the smaller villages around, all those people would come to the party. And it was pleasantly, again, surprised. It was packed in that thing, a lot of people there. But it was like the first time playing in something connected with the gas station. Just threw me off. I said, what?
They just did it. They just did the party where they could do it.
Yeah, just did it where they could do it. Had these people come together. And I was like, what is, because when I saw him taking his records out, I said, man, here? The party is here?
That's crazy.
But it was good. It was dope.
Mm-hmm.
Word. So tell me about Metamorphic. How did it come about? What made you? What was the concept?
I mean, it was a party. It was the first time I ever used Metamorphic was a party in Akron, Ohio, and then I just wanted to do a label, because I had already signed a couple of the records to a couple of different labels, and I thought, let me just start a label. So yeah, that's why. And then the idea was kind of like just to do my own music at the beginning, and I wanted to do something that wasn't like Detroit techno, it wasn't Chicago house, it was kind of its own thing. So the important thing was that it didn't sound like anything else.
Yeah. No.
And I was very lucky enough because the very first release was Carl Craig helped me distribute it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So he distributed. So like if you got one of the first Metamorphic records, there's a sticker on it and it says distributed through Planet E.
Okay.
And so he gave me all of his contacts, where to get it pressed,
mm-hmm.
and where to get it distributed. So, and he just he put in a good word for me at all the distributors. And that was like a really, really big help. That was a really big way to get it launched. So with his help, I was able to get really big orders from all the distributors and everything. And then it kind of just blew up after that because he helped me with that. And so I was able to continue doing the releases. But I think if he didn't put his name behind it, I think it would have been much harder to get orders from all the big distributors.
Okay.
So he helped me. He just helped me get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
So very good. And then on the second release of Metamorphic, I went to Detroit and I went to his apartment, and he wanted to hear it. He wanted to know how it sounded, and he was gonna. So he wanted to hear it before he decided to help me distribute it again.
Mm-hmm.
So because that was kind of the plan, was he was going to help me get it out to all the distributors again. And then I went to his apartment and I played him the record. He was like, "Nah, I don't like it." And he was just like, "No, I can't put my name behind it." He didn't like it. He didn't like the sound of this on Metamorphic. So I was like, "All right." So then from that moment, I just had to do it by myself. But it was good because he helped me get my foot in the door already.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he didn't like the second release. It's called Space EP. I don't know why he didn't like it, but he just didn't like it. He said.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize y'all was that deep. I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
That y'all was connected like that. Do you keep in touch with him till the day?
Not anymore, but yeah, like I told you, so he signed my first record, so we stayed in touch. He came to Cleveland for a while. He came to some of my shows, and yeah, we stayed in touch like that. But then we kind of fell off after a while.
Okay.
So I haven't. Last time I saw him was when he was DJing here in Berlin, but we just said hi. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good old Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, but without him, he really helped me a lot at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I guess association people. Oh, so that was enough for him just to do that. And
just
then
on the record it said on the sticker on the record said distributed through Planet E Communications. And that was enough to just get labels to get distributors to pay attention.
Yeah,
popping around that time. I think it was really going on. So yeah, I'm looking at the Discog right now. So got the Tauntaun, Morgan Geis,
Tauntaun,
you, Terrence Parker.
Okay, TP.
Terrence Parker also,
yeah, Hakeem. Yeah,
Hakeem,
and of course me. It's
yep.
I've been on there. Thank you for that. So yeah, man, it's a good lineup, man. And
quality. So it's kind of staying a little tight into the Midwest a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Yeah, all good sounds.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own unique sound,
Yep.
That's the whole point. I want everybody to have their own point of view and do their own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing that happens because everybody's doing the same thing, but yet sounding different. It's almost like this energy up here decides, okay, Dan Curtin's going to sound like this. Myles is going to sound like that. Jay Dillon's going to sound like that. Tauntaun's going to sound like this, but
everyone
same thing, but
everyone decided on their own. But there's like a lot of times I'll get demos for the label, and it sounds like something I did, or it sounds like something Tauntaun did. And I tell them, look, I'm not looking for the metamorphic sound. I'm looking for your sound. What do you have? What do you have to offer? That's what I want. I want to know who you are and what you have to present.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I know at some point, after some point in your career, your trajectory went really, 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 really high, and I think you were doing more house stuff at the time.
Yes, yeah,
a lot of house stuff. It was really dope stuff, and God, I forgot the label.
Strictly Rhythm.
Strictly Rhythm, at the very I did another two releases for Strictly, and kind of like the house sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember Strictly Rhythm once, because I like the label too.
Yeah, I mean that was
it was Purloin or something,
but hottest label on earth, for a while.
Yeah, it was. It really was, yeah. So yeah, you were doing more of a housey sound, and then I think you still do house, but I think at that point in your career, was a lot of house music that was coming out.
Yeah, I was doing this on Strictly. It was definitely house, and then I started doing this Purveyors of Fine Funk thing, which was also house.
Yeah,
that's kind of the whole point of Purveyors of Fine Funk, is to focus on house, basically any kind of variation of the house sound, like deep house, jacking stuff or whatever, acid.
Yeah, I remember you got me a house gig in Squirrel Hill Tunnel, Pennsylvania or somewhere. It was a long time ago.
Squirrel Hill Tunnel?
Somewhere. No, I remember driving through there, but you got me some gig in Pennsylvania back in the day. It was house. I had to play house music. You were doing your house thing, but you were like, you can play this gig, but it's got to be a house set. I remember driving there for that. So thanks to you.
It was probably like Pittsburgh or something, no?
Yeah. That's what it was, man. It was so long. See, all these things, they just start to come back to memory, because so many places you played and you don't remember even every little thing. But I just thought of it now when you said the house, when you're doing more housey stuff. Yeah. Damn.
Well, Jay had something.
I like that name, Squirrel Hill Tunnel. I'm not gonna forget that.
Donnell, talk about when we went to Cleveland to DJ.
I did. I'll retouch on that. I did earlier. Because earlier, Jay, in kind of towards the beginning of the show, I was telling everybody how I met Dan, because we all came down to the Smart Bar to do a live show, and it was a Black Nation live show, but then I ended up having to do my own thing that night. And Jay, you DJ'd that night too, and you did your live show first, and then I did my live show after yours, and that's when I met Dan down there for the first time in person when we came. But I don't know who invited us there. Like, those details I don't have. I just remember, okay, we're going down to Cleveland to perform live, and it was Tony Jackson, Brett Dancer, Quincy Davis went with us because he was just supposed to dance. You and I, and John Fisher, he came too because somebody was recording, and I actually found a recording of the show. So I had this guy like revamp he redigitized the video. So Dan, if you actually want a copy of it, I have a copy of that too.
I would love to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah,
was you playing live or you DJing?
I was only doing live. I was only playing live. I wasn't even
DJing
back then. Yep. So that's what I remember, Jay, from that time when we went. And I don't even remember who drove us down there. Yeah, I don't even remember that. I think we were all bunched up in one hotel room, like all of us, and I think Jay and I slept on the floor or something because we didn't want to sleep in a bed with some dude, like
right.
Dudes or someone was like, okay, I'm sleeping on the floor, just not doing that. But that was a good night. Maybe it rained that night too. But I don't know if that was 93, probably. Oh, and I was going by the name of Mindstorm back then, guys. Mindstorm. That's what I remember. Brett kept saying that. Mindstorm.
That's a good name. Mindstorm.
Yeah, that's how it gets to Sonic Mind, because it was Mindstorm. Yeah, at that time for that show. Yeah, I'll upload it like maybe on Google Drive, and then you can download it.
Yeah. Are there some tracks that nobody's heard yet?
Oh, no one. Not that stuff from that night. No way.
He said no way.
The only thing that might be close was that thing that came out on Yos's magazine, the Surreal Sound.
That one that I played for you. I asked you about that. If that was you or not. Do you remember when I
that was me. But that was made around the time of that, that live show stuff, because a lot of those things were made during those times. I can hear that Casio CZ101 on there. And that, that's another story of itself. Buying that thing on the first day that I actually met Derek May through Jay, buying that thing. But it's a story about me running from Derek's dog.
Oh.
Derek, he always brings it up if he sees me somewhere or something. Yeah, you remember you ran from my dog? Mao. Yeah.
Since you brought up the Casio, somebody just asked a question. Donnell, what instruments did you use those days? That might be a typo. So,
what instruments did I use in those days? I can tell you now because it's not like I don't need to keep a secret. But
back in the day, you want to keep a secret?
No, I mean, when people used to ask me, I was just telling them, like, I didn't really tell them because I was thinking back then, I don't want people buying the same thing I'm buying and using, like, why? But now I just tell people, man, I had a Juno 106, Yamaha DX100, which I still have, the Roland Juno Alpha 1,
which I still have mine.
909 that it used to belong to the DeBarges because I bought it at a pawn shop up on 44th Street. It had the burnt mark on the 909. Had an EPS 16 plus, reel-to-reel machine. I had actually an Novation base station too. I rarely used that thing. I didn't really know how to use it so good. MMT8 Elisa's. Just put it out there. And the Mackie mixing board. It was like a 16 channel or 12 channel Mackie mixing board. I think that thing gave everything this kind of crunch sound.
That's why I had to. I had the the Mackie 1604 for a long time. I just probably like 2 years ago, I finally got rid of it because it just was dead. Everything was broken on it.
Yeah,
it had a good sound.
Mackie has his own, had his own sound and I'm sure I was not mixing it right with the levels or anything. I just recording the tape.
There was no right or wrong. We just did whatever.
Just whatever sounded good and felt good instead of thinking about like, now you get Ableton, you're like looking at the spectrum analyzer and thinking, oh, it's too much bass and too. I mean, I get that because you can.
And how has that helped? How has that helped?
Man, kind of to be honest with you,
you think it helped?
I doesn't make any difference. It takes away from what your original feeling was,
that's why I bought a bunch of gear because I wanted to just record from my gear into Ableton and not be thinking about all that. Okay, I gotta cut the bass here because you're not going to hear the kick drum. With gear, it doesn't matter. Like the sounds are cutting through. And I like that. Yeah, I do appreciate the fact that I have a 16 input channel mixing board that I mean not mixing board but sound card, just so I can have the stem separate, just in case, because that's good. But I can also record the whole thing. But sometimes it's a hindrance to me, like looking, oh, is it too loud or turn it down, all this stuff, or the computer itself deciding to get the beach ball spinning. At times, it's like, come on, man. I'm in the vibe. I just want to just hit record and like the good old days.
Yep.
If it doesn't come out good, whatever. But I don't even care. Now I'm in this phase if I want to make music for YouTube, actually with the video, like putting the video with the track. That's like giving me some excitement now. Like I don't even know if I'm going to release the tracks, but I want to release them with the video on YouTube.
Oh, you mean those things you're doing like in your studio?
Yeah, because that was for me. That was a new thing. Like, let me film myself in the studio. Make someone might like this, and I could decide to put that music out later, or just keep it, on YouTube, like that with the video. So it's kind of a nice thing to do. The challenging part is recording yourself because you gotta hit the angles right, and I don't have a cameraman, so it's a lot of stop, cut, edit. And then later in CapCut or Final Cut Pro, I try to do something, but mainly CapCut. CapCut's faster for me.
So Dan, you mentioned we were talking about gear and production. So, like, what's your current setup right now? If you don't mind sharing that, or like, what are you mainly using? I'm assuming I know you're a little bit of both, but I think you're more hardware oriented, correct?
Yeah, I mean it's only hardware. Like the whole album, every track on there was done outside the box. I mean, done with all the gear, and then I mix it down in Logic, but everything is done outside the box. That's how I've been producing for the past several years.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I just want to go back to the gear again. I don't want to use the computer for anything. It doesn't interest me anymore. It interests me for mixing down. For mixing down,
yeah.
And then like maybe adding some little things here and there. I like it, but I decided that I just can't get the feeling that I want to have if I don't have my hands on the stuff, so.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, at the moment I'm using like the Octatrack is like the main thing, that's like the main brain for everything. So it's like mainly sample based. And, but I found that I can just it can be anything. Like it just can be anything that makes sound works,
Yeah.
Because it all has its own unique kind of personality and it all has its own kind of unique little sound. And I like how the sound works when you have when you're going out of all the gear into the mixer, and each piece of gear has its own unique kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how I feel like interested in doing it.
Yeah.
I was doing like in the box for a long time. Like when I started working with this label called Mobile here in Berlin, I was doing a bunch of stuff for them, and I was doing everything computer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of getting influenced by this minimal sound here in Berlin.
Yeah.
And that was interesting for a while, to do everything in the box and make it all like perfect and, like everything was a plugin or whatever. But then I got tired of that, and then went back just to doing it like the old days. just back to doing just everything out of the box, and that's how I do it now.
Yeah.
So like now every track is done that way, and like my live set is that way, and that's just the way I feel comfortable doing it.
Yes, it's for me. It's fun. It's much more fun that way. Being able to just touch something on the fly and just record it in there, and okay, maybe it might be a happy mistake because sitting there clicking. But I understand what you mean by mixing it down. It's like you said, you can add a vocal here or some extra sound or something on top of it, and then you can maybe some different effect. Because I do like to run all my things separately into Ableton and then have effects on each different, sound or whatever I'm going to use, and I decide which effect I want to put on it there at that moment. But as far as this stuff, it's like nice to stand up and play with knobs and have it in real time, because then it feels like the good old days.
Exactly. It's like the best of both worlds. And then I record all the audio into Logic, and then when all the audio is recorded in there, then I do the mix down, then I add some stuff. That's how I like using the computer for that.
Yeah.
So I get the best mix down possible, and I like spicing it up a little bit with some plugins and things like that.
Yeah, like a hybrid.
The best of both worlds, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's what's up, man. So what does daily life look like for you in Berlin on a daily day? I know you going to the gym, and
he's every time I
pump it up.
Definitely.
Bigger, man.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That's like every day, basically every day, just get up first thing, go to the gym, and then basically do all my kind of some office work and stuff like that, and then head to the studio.
Okay.
And stay in the studio until the evening.
Oh, okay.
That's basically the day. That's basically the day-to-day thing.
Oh wow.
So morning gym.
Gym, and then try and get the administrative work done, and because that takes a lot of time, especially the social media stuff. It takes a lot of time. So or I'll get to the studio first, and I'll do some social media kind of things, and then get into the studio work, production work.
Okay. Yeah. I was wondering because many times I was telling Myles before that I have my select people that I visit when I come to Berlin.
Same here.
It's always you,
Same here. Yep.
Mark Hawkins, Tim Xavier, Wyatt, and Sebastian. Like a lot of people don't know Sebastian because Sebastian he went to school for mastering, and I think he mastered a few records of some people, and this was and Aubrey, I would get to the record store, but I wouldn't really be meeting up with Aubrey like I was with you guys, but mainly it's at the record store. And then Sabine, we get to her record store and hang out with her there. But I didn't really meet up with too many other people, and Kennedy, of course, too, from Objects. But yeah, man, you were always somebody that was always, okay, I got to see Dan. Always got to, if he's got time for me, just have a little lunch or something. I can't count now how many times we met up over there.
It's just funny that we're both over here in Europe and kind of close too.
Yeah.
Not that far away from Berlin.
Yeah, like the same with being,
there's a lot of Americans over here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No, Dan's on my list. I always try. I tried when I was over there. We didn't, unfortunately.
We didn't make it happen last time.
Yeah, but it's usually gotta see Dan, man. Gotta see Dan for sure.
Yeah, out of all those people there, because there's so many people you could see. And sometimes I'll be there and I'll see somebody. Oh, okay, that's so and so, but I didn't even approach them or nothing. They would just happen to be in the same little convenience store that I was in buying something. Such and such from such and such label. Oh, okay.
That happens, man. That reminds me one time when I was in Toronto, just in a record store, and Theo Parrish just walks up, was like, "Dan, what's up?" I was like, "What?" It's see people from everywhere, kind of coalescing on the same places.
Yeah, because you're around that all the time. Because even where you live, where you live, is it kind of peaceful and calm, or is it kind of a mix?
You mean in Berlin?
Yeah, because I know the area where you live. I know where where you are, but it's still things still are happening around there,
it's
but just
street
more
decline, so
concrete.
it's like central Berlin, but there's like in my immediate area, there's no clubs or anything like that.
Oh yeah,
They're close. Like Berghain is like what 10 minutes walking from here. It's not that far away.
But you have your
Resort's real close. Sisyphus is real close. Like everything's close, but it's not right here where I am.
Right.
Okay. So you feel like you have I have my break from it if I need to, like I have it here in Warsaw because I like to come to Berlin and have my fun and hang out, but then I like to get away from the party stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm as well. Yeah. It's like a regular neighborhood here, like grocery stores and kindergartens and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Okay.
There's no clubs right here.
Yeah. No,
not even really any of that many bars. There's a couple bars here and there, but it's pretty calm. Actually,
okay.
Good.
Okay.
So I know you've been there for a while. Like, you ever thought about like coming back home at all?
I mean, all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss America. I miss it a lot. I'm homesick a lot. I'm homesick all the time, but I get back. I get back at least once a year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard because now I have a family over here, and now we have family in all different countries and everything. So it's a little bit more complicated now.
Yeah.
But I would, of course, definitely miss living in America, 100%.
Yeah.
So, like, when you get back, what's the first thing you're going to eat when you come back here?
Wings. Every time wings. The thing I eat when I come back to America is wings and beer. All those microbreweries and craft beer and that kind of stuff. But wings. Like the last time when I was back in December, the first night back, we had wings.
Okay.
Because you can get them here, but it's hard.
Yeah. Blue cheese or ranch?
Blue cheese.
Okay.
But then I've got to be careful when I go back to not have wings like every other day. Gotta take care of.
Oh man, blue cheese. Yep.
So
interesting. Yeah. You did say beer though, and I did notice that too. There's not like a lot of. I mean, you think Germany beer, but they don't have a lot of micro stuff.
No, they love their beer, but they don't have this microbrewery culture we have, like this IPA kind of stuff. They don't. Mm-hmm. They're not into it here.
Yeah,
it's here. You can find it here and there, but it's not that. It's not like in America where there's like a brewery on every neighborhood.
Yeah.
At least at least in Ohio, there's like breweries everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at one point I thought it was going to take off because I think the last time not the last time, but the time before I was there, I had a buddy from here. He actually worked for Founders, and they were trying to do something in Germany. So he was like, yeah, I'm here in Germany because Founders sent me over here, and they were trying to get their foot in that whole little thing over there, but I don't think it turned out.
Well, they've tried, and lots of people have tried, and like Stone Brewery tried to set something up here, and a lot of people have tried. I just think that IPA flavor is just not. I just don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The thing is probably more popular in Warsaw, I would guess. They probably like it there. Remember that brewery where we went to Donnell with Tim Xavier? That one we sat outside.
Yeah.
That's like the only place where you
can
get that kind of stuff around here.
I see. Yeah, because that felt like a TGI. I ain't gonna say TGI Fridays, but something.
I mean, they're British, but they do it in American style. It's like an American
had that vibe when we went there.
Wings and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, wings. Oh man. Yeah, man. But any Mexican food? Like real Mexican?
I had Mexican food yesterday.
But I mean when you come back though to
definitely. Or I'll get that.
Yeah.
Because there was a long time where you could not get Mexican food in Berlin at all, But now there's a lot of Mexican people came over here now. So now there's like some really good Mexican restaurants here. I just went to one yesterday. The whole staff is Mexican. It's authentic, really good.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Last time I was there was one spot, and they were selling tacos and stuff, but it wasn't Mexican, and they weren't Mexican. They were like from I want to say like Peru or something. It was something weird, but it wasn't Mexican food at all. It was like but one spot as a Mexican spot, but it wasn't Mexican.
But it was like Peruvian food, or
no? They claimed it was Mexican food, but it wasn't.
Oh yeah, because we know our tacos.
Yeah, it was like maybe like 6-7 years ago. It was the only spot in Berlin. just like the same time, at one point there was only one barbecue spot in Berlin, and
It's been a long time for the stuff to pick up.
it was a while. Yeah, you would think like but it took a long time. It was one spot and then they closed. But now I hear there's a couple of spots you can go get barbecue.
Yeah, there are some more spots now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like one barbecue spot. It was one Mexican spot, and then that one Jamaican place was there, but I heard it's not there anymore.
That one I never knew. Jamaican
Okay.
place. I don't think I went there.
Yeah, it was pretty good, but the portions was super small. It was like super high. Because
I know some Jamaican like food trucks that you can see here and there.
Okay.
They're like authentic, but there's I don't know about a Jamaican restaurant.
Yeah, it's not there anymore. I heard it got closed down or something.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I went there with it was me, Stingray, and
Stingray.
oh God, what's his name, man? I can't think of the other guy's name right now. Buzz Gory.
Oh, Buzz.
Yeah.
Good old Buzz.
Yeah. So we went there. It was good, but it was like ching.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dan, I definitely want to hit that spot. Dan, you say real Mexicans are there cooking. So the next time I'm in there, if you're around, please, or just give me the address.
So Tim knows it because it's near Tim's house. It's like in that same neighborhood where he lives.
On the street?
No, but it's in that same neighborhood, kind of. So,
okay. Because I'm gonna stay with Tim anyway. So
yeah, you can walk there from his house easy.
Okay.
You hear that, Tim? Donnell wants Mexican.
I'm sure Tim knows about it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he knows, man. Tim knows all them food spots. So does Sebastian.
Yeah.
They know all them little food spots over there. Good ones, but pricey ones. When I go with Tim, I better be prepared to spend some money. Sometimes I don't want to spend 50
it's not
euro.
that expensive.
Sometimes I would like to spend less than 20 euro. Sometimes I would like to spend 10 euro or less.
I mean, it sounds expensive, but it's not. I mean, back here you can find something just trash. It's like crazy, like money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Berlin used to be dirt cheap, but I think it's like when they just stuff. Not anymore.
Some days are over. Yeah. You're gonna be paying, but at least you can use your credit card there.
Finally, you can.
Yeah, that was driving me insane. I was like, man, I always got to exchange, carry. Once they give you all that change back in your hand, it's like, man, that's gone. Like that 20 bill is gone now. Giving me change.
Pocket full of €1 and €2 coins.
Yeah. I was like, can I just use my actually can I use Apple Pay? No.
You can do that now a bit more.
Yeah. So that's the only part. Okay, it costs more, but at least I can use my credit card over there for things. I was thinking of coming in July, like just doing a weekend with Tim so we can work on more music as well. So if I do, I'll keep you posted on that, because I definitely want to hit that taco spot.
Yep. If I'm here, let's go there for sure.
Because I could go at the end. You might be back by then. By the time I come,
let me know.
Yeah. Are you gonna be anywhere near me when you get here?
Just Ohio. The closest to you was gonna be Kent, Ohio. It's not that close.
Not that close.
Not that close. No.
Okay, because I missed you last time when you were at. I was actually home. I didn't even know you were there at Speaker Box. I would have definitely came.
Yeah, December, and it didn't work this time because she only does parties on Saturdays, and all my Saturdays are booked, so I couldn't make it work on Speaker Box this time.
Yeah,
but maybe I'll play Speaker Box.
Thanks for playing my track there at Speaker Box.
Yeah. Oh, you heard that?
Yeah. So I actually recorded a little video clip because I think it was on Instagram when I say, okay, I'm gonna save this. So thanks, I appreciate it.
Don't track. Easy to play.
Word. All right. I think my last question I got. So you've been around for a while. You've seen a lot of things change, a lot of things disappear, a lot of things arise as far as the music and the scene goes. So what's one thing that may have happened that probably didn't happen for the best, like, if that makes sense?
It didn't happen for the best?
Right. Like something came about and they thought it was a good idea. Like you feel it wasn't like the best, maybe the best thing that might have happened for the industry or the scene.
I think the worst thing that's happened now is like we've lost our local scenes. You know, like we've been talking about that this whole time, kind of like, you know, every town had a scene, every village kind of had a scene, and that's how like styles developed and sounds developed. And yeah, you don't like even some little town here would have their own magazines and everything, and you want to know who the artists were from this town. And yeah, I think that's the worst thing, you know, that you lost these like small localized little scenes that had their own personality and their own feeling, and everything's kind of like homogenized, you know. It's like one kind of big just blob where everything is kind of the same. So that's what I think is the worst thing, you know. Yeah, I don't know if that can ever come back, if we can ever come back to a local scene where people, you know, everyone's in Detroit representing Detroit, everyone's in Chicago representing Chicago, everybody's in Kalamazoo representing Kalamazoo, etc. I'm not sure if that's ever going to be able to come back or not, but yeah. I think it needs to. You know, that's how innovation happens. You know, you can't have innovation when everything is just all the same from everywhere. You know, that just kills innovation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we haven't seen anything really new happen since Detroit techno happened, basically. You know, like what's come of that? Like maybe like the Berlin sound a little bit, and like around 2000, but that was like a derivative of Detroit techno. So yeah, so I think the lack of innovation is the one thing that is like the worst thing that could have happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like Donnell, the only way you made your sound was because you were just kind of by yourself, isolated a little bit, you know, and you were just like, you got some gear and just started doing your thing. But that can't happen anymore, because now everyone's like going online and they all like find out what this person's doing, what that person's doing, and it all just becomes like one kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, and it's instantaneously, so it's like instant, boom, exactly. You know. So then you don't have to wait for stuff, or like you said, discover things and make some real connections.
Be a little bit separated again, so people have time to develop something on their own.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think that's basically kind of the reason too I didn't move to Berlin. I felt in Warsaw, okay, I'll be outside of all that. It's just 5 hours away, so it's not so bad. But I'll come over here. You know, there's people over here doing things, but in a way, I'm isolated because I don't really visit a lot of people's studios here, other than like Private Press, Arthur Essence. We might start hooking up here and there, and Jacek Sienkiewicz. We did something together, but for the most part, it's me here, like in my room doing my own thing. Like I said, no one really comes here, and I'm not really going to others, you know, not really at all. Really, when I go to these guys called Private Press Studio, we're mainly like exchanging software or talking, and we did do some work together. And they actually, before this other studio downtown got shut down, they actually gave me a key and said, okay, you can share the studio space with us. And I was only taking I would put my stems and everything on my computer, and I would go downtown just so I can hear it loud on the speakers. So, you know, making everything here, but then going downtown and having a different environment. But over here, I do feel this kind of isolation in a way, even though Damon's also over here. But he's kind of doing the same thing, just making music. And
he's doing his thing, you're doing your thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard. Like, we try to meet up, but it's hard. You know, life is hard. He's got his family, and I got things that I do outside of the music that occupies time as well. You know, so yeah, it's nice in that sense. But as you said, the people here, they're all like locked together. You got these little collectives all together, and it's like, yeah, you're right. They're on Instagram, put stuff up instantly, and there's no chance to, like you said, self-develop without hearing others and everything. So that's the most I could do with being in Warsaw and not being in Berlin. Because I think if I was in Berlin, I might get some kind of influence, because it's just easy to link up with people.
You wouldn't. You still link up with people, but you would still do your own thing. Because you're like you're your own person, you know. You have your own.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So you wouldn't. It's not like you're gonna start doing like the Berghain techno all of a sudden. Like,
no.
Could you imagine?
No.
Started doing Berghain, like,
yeah.
you would never. It just wouldn't happen. You know.
No. However, I would like to give Osgood a release if they're coming back. I always thought
they
about
do good stuff. They do good stuff for sure.
I thought about like I would like to give them some, probably I don't know who's in charge of I don't think sending it to Ben Clock would do anything or Marcel.
You gotta find out who's doing the label.
Yeah, just get it directly to them because back then Ben Clock used to ask me for music all the time. Like, send some tracks over.
For his label.
That's for his label.
Right.
And I don't know. Me and my, like you said, my own like selfishness. I ain't gonna say selfishness, but just
it's not selfish. You're just doing your own thing.
Like I have Sonic Mind. I got distribution with EPM, for digital, and if I want to get the vinyl out through Juno or something, so I'm not in a rush or hurry to do it because I still sell stuff, and it works. So that's the benefit of always having distribution. You don't have to rely on others. But I always wanted to be on there. It's funny because I didn't even think about Trezor, but I thought about being on their thing.
Yeah, that's one of my goals, man. I tried a few times. I forgot the guy's name who was in charge, but it didn't work out. But I mean, I don't know. At the time, I don't know what they were doing. Their style changes all the time, and it's just what it is. But at the same time, I think about you guys. Like, it's good. I got through my career, I've been in a lot of places, but I mean, just having your own outlet, I think that's the best.
Definitely, yeah.
And because it gets on the shelves, like it doesn't mean that Oscar's gonna outsell you. No, it might not. Like your stuff, one record you do might sell a lot more than them, but one record they do might sell more for whatever reason. But the fact that you're doing your own thing, Hardwax and all those people was recognizing that stuff. They'll put your stuff right there, Space Hall, and you'd be amazed. Like, oh, okay. You'd be thinking it's small or something, but it's actually bigger than what it is, So I think I am loving the fact that, okay, I'm going back to the old days, like having a gear in here. Took me a little while to get everything, but just going back to making the music, the same process and getting out and not stopping, and actually having, and it's still fun. Because that was my whole point. I was like, this has to be fun like it was in Kalamazoo. Otherwise, I can't be doing this and relying on if I'm going to make money or survive. No, it's got to be fun all the time.
Right.
And that through that fun, it does make some nice extra money, But yeah, so for me, Berlin is fun. I just equate it to I'm going to go over there, go to the record store, do a little bit of socializing with the people I know and get out of Warsaw for a bit, make a nice weekend of it. And if there's a chance to work on something, then like what I did with Mark Hawkins, a couple of times we got together. It was perfect. He just lets me do my thing in there. And then he comes behind and, clean the stuff up. So I was like, oh, perfect combination, and then Tim and I, we recently did some stuff together. It was the same thing. I started doing something. Then he comes back later. He adds something. And then we're working, like I'm here and he's there and we're still working together, like sending the parts back and forth as well too. So at some point, Dan, we, when I'm over there, we gotta get in the studio. Yeah. Just like one night, just to get in there and just bang it out.
Just do something. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be dope. What time is it? Got like,
oh yeah. I was supposed to eat something, but I still.
Yeah. You guys ready to wrap this up?
We can. We got.
Yeah. I think we had a good conversation.
Yeah.
We had a nice talk.
Yeah. It's good to catch up. Boss.
Yeah, definitely.
Boss
After a long time.
Yeah.
Man, it's been a good long time of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to catch you here though. Well, I don't know when though.
If not now, I'll come back in October. I'm playing in Cincinnati in October and some other stuff. So maybe I'll get closer.
That would be
maybe speaker box if possible.
Okay.
Probably I'll play there again.
Through Elisa and them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Probably I'll play there in October.
Just got a quick question. Did they show up on your night when you played for them?
Elisa didn't come, but the other ones came. Like her whoever she worked
with. Code. Okay. So okay.
Yeah, but she didn't come. She was in Seattle or something like that.
Okay.
So she couldn't come.
They didn't come from me either. It was supposed to be like Terrence's birthday or something.
also, yeah, Terrence didn't make it for that. It didn't make it, but Drive Train made it out. he came out.
Okay.
Good to see him.
That's what's up. Somebody did have a question for you, Dan.
Yeah.
When is your next gig in Berlin?
I don't have anything planned in Berlin for the moment. I don't play in Berlin that much, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
I mean, I have played a lot here, but yeah, I don't have that many gigs here.
Okay.
Yeah, you're living there, you know.
Yeah. It's what it is, man. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't know.
You don't need to if you're going out.
Berlin.
You just got the Berlin address, so like people know, oh, he's in Berlin, so it adds, you know, something to it. Just being there.
Yep.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do a little recap. So Dan, tell us what you got coming up. Any new projects? I know you got the dates in the US. You want to recap?
Yeah.
And whatever.
So let's see. The next thing coming is a remix from Neuron. You guys know Neuron?
No, who's that?
He's like one of the intelligent techno kind of people from the UK. Oh, you know him. You know his music. You know his music. I got the remix from them coming out, and then like on the next things come from the rest of the year are all on Metamorphic. So I have some really like old school kind of stuff that I had like stems for, and then I'm like remastering them. So that's coming out on Metamorphic, unreleased stuff. Those are the next things for the rest of the year. So it's going to be focused after my album comes out. Then it's going to be focused on my label for the rest of the year.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Gotcha.
That's cool.
That's what's up.
For sure. All right, y'all, give it up for Mr. Dan Curtin, y'all.
Thanks, guys. You got the crowd sound in there. Where's the siren?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
The Brady Bunch.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the wrong one. So yeah. All right, D, what you got going? What's going on with you, man?
As I told y'all before, the next thing coming will be Archetype, re-releasing the thing he did back in the early 2000s on a label. And yep,
it's a lot more as of late. We had Plural and James last week.
Yeah,
Mr. Dan and somebody else in the next couple of weeks. So
yeah. That, and then I'm like Dan, like you, man. I'm focusing on things coming out on Sonic Mind.
Yeah.
You know, throughout the year. Like I said, got some in the cooks with Tim, and a lot of things Myles and I are going to be working on some new projects together. So that's going to be great. So pretty much just that working, and other than the YouTube, you know, focusing on the YouTube, y'all. So if y'all are hearing me, you know, you can like and subscribe and like. It helps.
Was it a Sonic Mind or just is it D-KNOX?
No, it's under Sonic Mind, and I got it linked to this podcast, guys. So if you get to my videos, you can get to this our podcast series from there.
Go to the Sonic Mind page on YouTube, like and subscribe to that too. And since we're talking about like and subscribing, subscribe to our YouTube channel here. Hit the like button and share the damn stream. We need to support y'all. It's good. It was a good time, but it's support it. If you got your artists, your favorite artists, and just people you like, support them. Hitting the like button, just hitting the button. We're not asking for money, nothing like that. Just hit the button
and go back and watch the old shows.
Yes,
a lot of good shows there.
For sure. And if you have any more questions and want to contact us, I just did this today. You can also email us mslivewithdknox@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, death threats. I don't know. Just email
death threats.
But that's the email right there. You can hit us right there. And yeah. And if for some reason you want to book us, we also got that too. And that's at the bottom. And I'll change that so you can actually see it. Boom.
There you go.
Us right there. Me, myles-serge@gmail.com, D-KNOX. at his agency is booking at stellarbooking.com. Hit us there. All the info for Mr. Curtin will be on the YouTube platform, links, bios, free gifts, all that.
Thank you very much.
And it will be there. So, yeah. Once again, give it up for Mr. Dan Curtin, y'all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Nice chatting with you guys.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was great. Next time we'll do this in person.
All right.
Yeah.
We're there. Yeah.
Like Adam X does, yeah, for his. He's there with the people when he's interviewing them.
That would be dope.
Yeah.
Over tacos next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna make that happen.
All right.
All right, y'all. Until then, this was MS Live.
Peace. Thank you very much.
Peace.
All right.
All right.
Peace. Bye.